Joining me now is Ambassador Karin Olofsdotter, the Swedish ambassador to the United States. And it's so great to see you in person.
Well, thank you for
Ambassador.
having me on.
So let's talk about Turkey. And, you know, it's clear that Sweden and Finland qualify. You've done military exercises. You've met all of the other qualifications economically. You're clearly democracies, none of the other challenges that some of the East Bloc countries had. So, Turkey. And this is largely a domestic issue. They've got objections to some emigres from Turkey, from the Turkish Kurds.
No, of course we take the issues being put forward by Turkey very seriously. It is a unanimous decision by all the member states in NATO to, accept new applicants. So we are in dialogue with them and trying to, address the concerns they have, and also trying to show Turkey, which I'm sure they know, that we are actually a great contribution to the alliance. We bring 2% of defense spending. We are one of the most capable military forces in Northern Europe. We have been in every NATO operations the last 30 years. We are totally interoperable, and we are there to defend the whole of the alliance, of course, even though our location is up in the north.
Well, in fact, Sweden and Finland have contributed more and do more for their own defense than most NATO members who are struggling to reach that 2% of GDP goal. So, but after decades of neutrality,
centuries, actually.
Centuries of neutrality, I should say, with such an exposed border, this would increase the border with Russia 830 miles.
Yes.
So, obviously it's Ukraine, but do you feel exposed?
Yes, I guess we have always felt exposed. And, Sweden, I'm not now talking for Finland, even though Finland was part of the Swedish Empire up till 1809. We have always been at war with Russia over the centuries. I remember my old grandmother, being very scared of the Russians, and it's always been present. Then, of course, we've always had also good relationship. We have over 400 companies that have been present in Russia over the years. I myself have been a student there. I loved it. But, of course, we have the location we have, and we see what the military buildup in Russia has done. We saw it early. We saw 2008 in Georgia. We saw 2014 with Crimea, and that's when we really started, spending more on our defense and building up our capabilities even more. But now with this unprovoked attack on the 24th of February, it really changed everything for us. We saw what Russia could do to a sovereign, democratic, independent state, and really a close friend of Russia forever. And that really changed everything for us. We have to look at our security totally different now, and that's why we are applying to NATO.
Do you worry about Russia, even in the interim period, putting nuclear forces, tactical nukes on your border?
We don't know where they would put them. There's always been a suspicion or thinking that they could already have them in Kaliningrad, but we don't know that for sure, of course. So what we are doing is doing everything we can to ramp up our own security. We have been in discussion with a lot of NATO members, both our closest, neighborhood friends, but also the United States. What can we do together in the interim period? So we're looking at, can we increase exercises together, naval presence, for instance, lots of things like that. But it's, of course, upon us to really take care of our own security, but then with a little bit of help from our friends.
There was a somewhat controversial proposal at the World Economic Forum last week in Davos by former Secretary of State and global leader, really, Henry Kissinger, who said, in sort of a pragmatic context, that Ukraine will not be able to withstand the Russian continuous assault, and that it's time to negotiate to save Ukraine from being pulverized, really, as it is now being in Donbass. That's obviously up to the Ukrainians, and they've been so valiant, and no one wants to tell them when to negotiate. And could you ever trust Russia to agree to any agreement? They violated every agreement. But is there a feeling in Europe that there is some negotiation that has to take place?
That's very hard to say. And from my government, we always stress that this, as you rightly pointed out, this has to be a decision by the Ukrainians. It's for them to take, because we all have national sovereignty over our territories, and the Ukrainian territory is violated. So that's really up to the Ukrainians, and we are doing everything we can to help them as much as we can. And as you might have seen, the European Union took, I think, the biggest decision on sanctions just yesterday on an oil embargo, basically, on Russia. And we hope that this will really contribute to, Russia having problems financing their military. And that would maybe, hopefully, lead to some kind of lessened conflict. But as I said, it's really up to the Ukrainians, and that's just, as with our own security, it's up to us to choose our own security. And then, of course, we hope that we will be welcomed in the alliance.
Well, if you miss this deadline, miss Madrid, is that fatal to your accession, your application, or is it just a delay?
It's a delay. We really hope that this will come about.
It would be a bad signal to Vladimir Putin, certainly.
It would be, certainly. And given that we've had this, as I told you, 200 years of military non-alignedness, and now we've taken the decision because we feel threatened, and we feel that we are in a region that is really insecure. And, we want to be part of this very strong alliance. That's why we hope that this can happen as soon as possible.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador. It's great to see you. I hope we can see each other soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.